again, in my own little battles, I suppose, for me that was a great day. Obviously won winner at the Cheltenham Festival, won the first, beat AP, so yeah, that didn't really get much better either. So.
Pool School, brought to you by the Tote, with Luke Parkinson, Jamie Hart and Jamie Benson.
Richard, welcome to Pool School, the new podcast from Tote. We're in the Cheltenham weighing room, plenty happy days, I imagine, in here. What's it feel like to be back?
Yeah, slightly strange, really. Yeah, like I say, lots of happy days. Obviously, this is where I used to sit for most of my career, and yeah, obviously on all the good days and some not such good days. But yeah, great memories and yeah, lots of fun had in here.
And what's it like, sort of the first time you come in here? Obviously, as you can see on the wall, your names, some of your winners in here. But do you just get given this peg? Is this always where you've sat?
No, usually the champion jockey, the oldest jockey, sits at the top, and then when you start, you literally start down the other end and you work your way up. But yeah, I spent probably nearly 20 years sat just sort of around this area here. So again, yeah, a lot of my sort of big winners, I was sat in this area, and again, a lot of very, very good memories.
And what sort of the jokes that are flying around? Is there any routines that people pick up on, moving trousers around or cutting legs off stuff, that kind of thing?
Oh, there's plenty of practical jokers. Yeah, there's one or two that you're always slightly concerned if they were in your area, thinking what have they done. But no, I think that it's a great atmosphere in here, and whether you've had a good day or a bad day, it doesn't make a difference in here. Everyone's sort of the same, and again, it's just a nice place to be.
And would you have had a routine coming in? Were you someone who got here early and sit at your peg looking through the race card and stuff, or was it sort of different everywhere you went?
Yeah, that's slightly different, but obviously especially for the festival, everyone was here early because just the meeting it was. Some people had different routines. Some people go for a sleep under the table. I've seen everything happen. But towards the end of my career, I was always doing my exercises, and sort of as you got older, you had to sort of look after yourself a bit better. But again, everyone had their own routines, but it was, like say, there was apprehension as well before the festival, the big meeting. There was a little bit of nerves as well as excitement. So all things together.
And did you ever do anything differently coming here for the festival? I know you don't live just round the corner, so the traffic's always mega coming in here. So was it a different strategy to make sure you get here on time and get things ready? Yeah,
I think again, the festival, you always want to be here an hour earlier, check the track, just make sure your things are all here and where you want it to be, and just gives yourself a bit more time. There's nothing worse than rushing, especially when you've got a big race or a big ride coming up. So and again, there's so much going on at the festival. It's a huge 4 days. And
round this bit where we are now, this is sort of, from looking at the names anyways, where the English riders sit, and I think sort of towards the other side is where the Irish sort of sit, or in majority a lot of the Mullins team around there. So what's it like when you're in here, and they've obviously had a few? Is there a bit of thing that shut them up round there?
Yeah, there's definitely a bit of fun and games going on, and yeah, you're obviously competitive, and you want to try and get more winners in the other corner. Like say Ruby and Barry, Garrity, Jimmy, they would always be on the other side there. Myself and AP, and there was Irish jockeys over here as well, but this was more the sort of the corner where I sat. Where there was a lot of English lads around. Actually, Conor O'Dwyer, mine, he always sat just behind you there, when he was riding Hardy Eustace and Imperial Call and things, and actually, Jimmy knows it was great to be involved, and everyone is on a very close basis, really. Even though we're from different sides of the water, and everyone's against each other, we're all sat almost next to each other getting changed, and there's lots of banter as well. And
why do you think they've dominated so much recently, the Irish? Obviously it must have beaten on you as an English-British rider who's riding for British trainers, that they keep coming over here, at least in the last few years, and dominating things. Do you think it'll go full circle, or is it just a trend for now kind of thing?
Look, I'm sure it'll go full circle at some point. It's going to take more than a year to change it, and they've got a very, very strong hand this year coming into the festival, and like they did last year. But I think it is, trends change, and at the moment they seem to have a lot of buying power in Ireland that keeps a lot of the nice young horses there, rather than being bought to come over here, and that's just a, I suppose, economic thing that hopefully will change over time. But again, at the moment we're trying to play catch up. But there's we've got lots of good horses in Britain as well. It's just when you're on the big stage, there can only be one winner of each big race, so it's very competitive.
And some of these big races you obviously won. There's plenty of names wrote down on here. what's it like when you come in? Who gives you the pen and stuff to write them down?
I think that almost gets done like later on, because I think you're not really. Well, I definitely wasn't sort of. I couldn't have even written my own name, let alone the horse's name at the time. But again, it's a lovely thing to sort of leave your mark and think that hopefully going forward, it's there for other jockeys to see. And like I say, now they put sort of little bits of plastic on them just to stop. I'm sure years ago, for jokes, people would come and rub them out just to not annoy the jockeys as well. So, but no, it's a lovely memory for me. And again, looking at them now, from Looks Like Trouble in 2000 to Native River in 2018. I mean, it's 18 years apart, but it's great to see that, and the memories are unbelievable. Yeah,
it's unbelievable, because if you went in a football changing room, there's not really that kind of thing left there, because it changes so often. So to come in and you've got your name from all through the years, and it's almost like a museum in here, isn't it, with the amount of names that are on pegs. You've got John Joe Neal and Dawn Run on that side and stuff, so it's brilliant to come back and look at.
Yeah, no, and exactly. If they ever do change the wearing room massively, I'm not quite sure how they're going to take these pieces of wood off the wall, I think, and put them up in the new wearing room. But again, it's a great bit of history, and actually, for a jockey like myself, that do you mean it's nice to come back and see it still there, and it gives you great happy memories. And
just the last one in here before we take the walk out that jockeys do at the festival. How is the buzz in here? How can you hear what's going on outside when you're sat in here? Is it almost a quiet sanctuary in between races?
Yeah, it's a quiet sanctuary, I think, and there's sort of an atmosphere. Even in the car park there's an atmosphere, but I think in here you feel very safe, and I think there's that. Again, if you have a great day, to be honest, you don't mind where you are on the racecourse. It's a great place, but actually when you're having a frustrating day, if you've had a fall, if you had a red hot favourite that's run well below par and everyone's disappointed, you can come in here, and I think it's just a bit of a sanctuary to, you feel a bit more sort of comfortable, and sometimes when you have a bad day, this is a safe place. You can have 20 minutes and you don't feel like under pressure. So it's an amazing place, and the always thing that I think is incredible, it's a football team or a Formula One team or whoever, everyone gets changed, on their own, where we're all against each other every day, but we're literally getting changed next to each other. So it's quite a weird situation, I suppose. Some people think, but that camaraderie, I think, is one of the best things about horse racing.
So Richard, we're making the walk that you've made plenty of times over your career through the weighing room, past the scales. I imagine sometimes you'd rather not look up at the numbers sometimes.
Yeah, so when you've got a lightweight in one of the handicaps, it's almost just getting the weight done is you think, right, that's ticked off, I've done that now, and then you can concentrate on the race, because obviously if you've got a lightweight, sometimes that's in the handicaps, a pound here and there can makes all the difference. So you want to make sure you get the weight right, and then like you say, it's obviously a fine thing here. A pound either way can make a big difference.
So you come out of this door now, I'll let you go first, and you sort of look up on a normal race day, it wouldn't be as busy. It's obviously quiet today as they prepare for the festival, but it's just imagine a sea of colour and a sea of people, because it looks big on the TV, but sort of when you're in real life, it's actually not that big if there's a 20 runner handicap or whatever.
Yeah, definitely. If you're going out for the county hurdle or the Grand Annual or something, there's it's almost filled with people. And most trainers have a certain spot. They nearly always stand in the same area, so at least you have a fair idea where you're going to. But you are sort of almost looking to find the right group of people, and again, it's a big atmosphere. When as soon as you come out, you feel it, and again, there's a bit of, you're excited, but you're also, especially if you're riding a fancied runner, you want everything to go right. You want to get a good start. So you're thinking about all these different things in your head, as well as trying to find your owner. Obviously, say hello to them. Obviously they've obviously always got things they want to talk about, and it's a big day for the owners, trainers, jockeys. It's the Cheltenham Festival is where it all matters for a lot of people.
Exactly. You rode a lot for Philip Hobbs. Where would he have stood? Where would you be looking as you come out of here?
Philip was often sort of a bit further down, just on the left over there. So it was quite handy, really. As soon as the horses came round, you could get on them, and if you can, you'd be trying to get out, because you want to get down to the start in good time to try and get the right position at the start as well. And all those sort of things are little things, but when you're 18 and you're a bit green, you don't quite understand what's going on, and all of a sudden you get down to the start and you're at the back and you're thinking, oh God, this is not where I'm supposed to be. So little things like that, the more you ride here, you probably start to learn about how the track rides, and where you're hoping to be, even if you can't exactly get there, where you can be that is nearly as good. And like you say, you just want everything to go smoothly.
And is there sort of any superstitions the horse you could come into the parade ring, the horse might be down this side ready to go out the chute, or you could miss it and it could be down the top end. Is there any way you try to get on the horse at a certain point?
Well, sometimes, yeah, if you miss it here and they suddenly ring the bell, so you'd be sort of going over there quickly to try and, you know, get them to get on. So you say to the groom that's leading the horse up, say, oh, you know, we'll cut through this shorter bit now so we can try and get out. So it just little things that you sort of, yeah, again, you want everything to go smoothly. That's you know, you've got this perfect plan in your own head. Probably the night before you've been thinking about each race, how you want it to go. So yeah, you know, there's little plans that you just like to sort of tick the right boxes.
And were you ever nervous coming out here, or when you do it after so many times, does it sort of just become normal for you, really?
I think it's not like a nervous. It's almost you're excited, but you know, if you're not a little bit right words now, but yeah, it's not a nerve. It's
like apprehension.
Apprehension, I suppose.
Yeah.
You just want it to go smoothly, and like I say, if you're riding a good horse with a good chance, you know they're a good horse. You know they've already got the form before they get here. It's not like it's the first run of their life. So you just want them to show that on the day for everybody.
And just on the right here is obviously where the winners go. That's where you want to end up at the end of the day after a big race. But when you come out for something like the Gold Cup, I imagine the trophy's there. Are you eyeing it up and looking, thinking, I want that, or is it not really coming to you thinking?
And I think now they often have a photograph in there with all the jockeys before the race as well. So they're almost making you, they're building it up even more. So that is where you want to be. And there is, the walk down, the chute after you win a race here, and the walk into here is, do you mean, they're the bits. If you could capture that in a bottle, it'd be priceless. So,
and this new sort of grandstand area that goes round really, I imagine, heightens that, because the noise comes from all over the shop. It really is like going into a coliseum, really, for a jockey. There's eyes on you from all angles. Yeah,
and I think that was the big shame of last year, that the jockeys that probably have their first winner here last year, there was no one here, and it was very sad for everyone. Obviously, it was still great to ride winners here, but I think this year, obviously, the crowd will be. They can't wait to get here, and I think it's really good. It'd be great to see the place back really full and busting again.
Absolutely, and obviously you missed out on all the COVID stuff, racing behind closed doors. How do you think you dealt with that? Obviously, it would have been very different from what you were used to.
Yeah, it is, and that's the thing. Look, the main thing was that they kept racing going, which was really important, and I think the powers that be did a really good job of keeping it all going along. But again, it's when you're racing without crowds, there is that little bit that's not quite the same, and I think the horses notice it as well. The horses, some horses probably appreciate it because if they're a bit nervous, it was a quieter day for them. But for a lot of especially the older horses, I think that crowd really lifts them, and hopefully they'll lift the British horses this year, and hopefully that'll give us a bit more advantage again.
Exactly. So Richard, we're out on the course now. We're going to walk the Gold Cup track, which you were successful around at least twice anyway in the big race. So you're just saying to me that you've just come over a couple of fences, and then this is sort of where you know whether you're in a good position to start with, or you've at least got off the mark as you wanted to. Yeah,
I think the start, especially for Native River, he was a perfect example. But the start, you want to get a good start. You want to jump the first couple of fences, and for him, it did. I got a great start the year he won it. He popped the first two fences just in his own unique way. Jimmy was really good, and as soon as I came around this first bend, I was on the inner. Just he was relaxed, but he was going forward. I didn't have to push him along or anything. It was just everything was going. So I think the first I could almost have a little breath there, just to think, right, we're where we want to be. As we get around the bend before you turn into the back straight, and things at that point was going as well as I could have, I could have hoped.
And obviously on the first day, not on this course, but when it's the Supreme, they talk about the roar and that going up. Do you hear that all the way around here? Does it just keep reverberating as we sort of walk round?
Yeah, you definitely hear it, because there is that huge, everyone's so excited, and then obviously when the tapes go across, it's almost like a delayed reaction. The tapes go across, we jump off, and you can almost hear it on the run to the first, because obviously it's that little bit of delay from the noise up here to down there. But and again, look, jockeys are just as excited as the people here watching. Everyone's excited to get it going, and then you again hope for a bit of luck that winning the first race. I was lucky enough to win it on Manora, obviously, in 2010, and if you can win the first race on the first day, it's an amazing feeling, because you think you've only had one race, you've had a winner. Do you mean whatever happens now, you've had a great start already? So think if you ride the favourite in the first and he gets well beat, you're just thinking it's uphill from there. But like you say, if you start off with a good start, it definitely makes all the difference.
Minora's obviously a horse that was very special to you and is still with you now. But I think you beat AP that day as well, didn't you? Just about held on.
Beat AP. And again, in my own little battles, I suppose for me that was a great day. Obviously, winner at the Cheltenham Festival, won the first, beat AP. So that didn't really get much better either. So, but again, everyone a lot of people thinks that we sort of arch rivals and enemies, but actually, again, we were in the weighing room there. He literally sat just on the left of me, and again, we were in that sort of position for sort of about 20 years. We started out sort of just about the same sort of time as well. So we've always got on really well, and I don't know, we just had that unique way. Obviously, we all each wanted to beat each other out on the track, but actually, back in the weighing room, there was no sort of animosity, or like we didn't sort of have a big grudge against each other, which again, I think, I'm not sure we could have actually ridden against each other for 20 years if we'd have got on that badly. Exactly.
Do you think you made each other better throughout your career? Did each other push each other on without directly saying that's what you were doing?
Yeah, I think we were both very greedy. That's probably the. I think we both like winners. We both wanted to go everywhere every day. Neither of us really wanted to just ride at Cheltenham or just ride at Ascot. We wanted to ride winners on a Monday and a Tuesday just as much as a Saturday and Sunday. So I think we both had a very similar outlook in that respect, which probably even though I couldn't beat him, I was always trying to beat him, and there was that rivalry, which was a good thing. I think probably brought out the best of us.
Definitely. And obviously when he retired, it was emotional for you as well, seeing such a good friend, I imagine, going out of the weighing room. And probably, I've not spoken to you about it, but was that sort of thinking your career's becoming to that sort of twilight period as well? Yeah,
well, there's obviously that sort of look at it as well. But I think everyone was saying, "Oh, you must be delighted," which obviously it as it showed, it did give me that opportunity. But yeah, it was quite sad in a way, because we had spent that much time riding against each other and enjoying that, even though again I didn't beat him in the championship. We did enjoy riding against each other, because I think we enjoyed beating each other as well. So there was lots of different, I suppose, feelings. But for me, then the pressure was on. I think if I wasn't champion the next year, then people would have probably said, "Well, you weren't very good anyway." So I think then all of a sudden, there was more pressure on to sort of almost that next season to, supposed to become champion and hopefully, at least get one under my belt.
And obviously you retired just over a year ago now, and how's that been so far for you? How's life away from being a jockey every day?
It's different. I'm very lucky. I've got lots to do. Still involved in racing with some of the race courses, and obviously with yourselves and everything else. So it's really nice to keep involved in racing. But obviously I've got a lot more family time. My family farm as well. So we're trying to understand and go back to school now to learn a bit more of that. And we're breeding racehorses as well. So there's lots of different things to do now. And again, I think for me I suppose the upside is that time with the family that to be fair, they gave an awful lot up for me, for sort of, my wife and my children now for the last 13 years. They definitely haven't seen me that much at weekends and most of their time really. So I think I've it's nice to be able to see them and spend that much more time with them.
Excellent stuff. Obviously we're coming down to the first fence in the back, if that's what you want to call it, away from the stands. So I imagine this is where it goes a little bit quiet over this side. The sort of the hush of the crowd, the cheers have gone away, and now it's sort of business head on and make sure you get in your position of what is a tricky part of the course.
Yeah, everyone understands that Cheltenham is a really stiff track. At the last, sort of quarter of a mile is all uphill, and by then horses are getting tired. So it is a real test of stamina. But it's also a quick track, and it's also a track you need a horse that travels. A slow horse can really struggle around here because, as you say, you look down the back straight here, you're always on that turn. The fences come up quite quickly. The undulations as well. There's lots of tricks. It's not an easy track. It's not like a Newbury, which has got two straights and it's very flat and almost very easy for a horse to work out. This horses have to think for themselves as well as the jockey helping them. And again, Native River is a really good example. Like when I turned into the back straight here, both times, first circuit and second circuit, having the confidence I did in him because he was such a good jumper, I could be quite forward and quite positive with him, and that's especially in a Gold Cup, that's where when you watch the replay back, and I still enjoy watching it now, you can see how his sort of slick jumping, and he wasn't extravagant, but he was just very, very quick from A to B, and that's what, especially on the second circuit, I think a lot of horses, they not gave up, but by the time they got to the end of the back straight, they were cooked. They just couldn't jump and gallop at the same pace he could.
And a lot of your rides at Festival, we were just talking then, it almost looked like you were working away down the back, but that might not have always been the case.
I think it probably suited me. I was definitely a positive jockey rather than a quiet sort of sneak into it jockey. But I think I think especially in the championship races, it's very hard to come from off the pace. And actually, if you've got a horse that really sort of answers your questions, they're the ones that end up doing well. Anselm, obviously my first ever winner. I think I was flat out from definitely jumping the first hurdle to the last one. And he only literally got up on the last couple of strides, but he was a horse that he was flat out. It wasn't. I don't think he was not trying. He just couldn't go any quicker. But I kept at him, and again probably suited my style of riding. But I don't. Well, even I couldn't even believe from the top of the hill I'd had any chance of winning the race. I thought he might run onto a place, and obviously it worked out really well. So I think that's what I probably got well known for is. Keep trying and keep going, and hopefully if you keep at it for long enough, you'll get the winners.
Exactly, and it served you well anyway doing that tactic. Just while we're around this bit, there's a bit on flagship Uberales when you were riding him in the Champion Chase. You seem to take like a wider course with him and go on the outside. Is that just for conditions on the day, or
a little bit? And actually, sometimes if you come around that top bend, especially in the Champion Chase, it's obviously fast and furious. And if you things haven't quite gone as you hoped over the first, say, 4 fences up the straight for the Champion Chase, we turned into the back straight here, and I was just niggling away at him. I was a little bit under pressure, or more under pressure than I thought I would have been. Yeah. And again, he was probably a real typical staying 2 miler. He could go flat out for 2 miles. But on that day, I was under pressure here, which is much earlier than we'd want to be under pressure. And I remember jumping the water jump and having to really get after him just to keep him in that position, because if you lose your position in a champion hurdle or a champion chase, to be honest, you've got no chance if you get detached, because you just can't make that grind up in those type of races. In a stayers race, you've got more chance of being able to maybe get back involved, but let's say the champion chase, I wasn't confident going down the back straight. Yeah, definitely.
And obviously this bit here has got a bit of a hill in itself, so when you are travelling well, you're trying to give your horse a bit of a breather, really, knowing that what you've got to come, so that you don't want to be making ground going up the hill. You'd rather do something down this part of the track, especially on the second circuit anyway.
Yeah, I think, I was always told from a very young age, rhythm is the most important thing. David Nicholson used to go on and on about it, and it sort of as I got older, it probably made more sense. If a horse is in rhythm, he's using less energy, and conserving more for the right end of the race. So again, you run off the hill there, and again, it's quite, the first fence in the back straight is one of the trickiest on the track, I think, because it's not as easy for horses to jump.
Sort of going away from you a bit, isn't it?
Going downhill, and if you get it wrong, the landing is running away from you as well, and just a stumble can be enough to, for them to come down. So that's really important. So again, if you're in a nice rhythm, a horse is happy, that's where you want to be. You don't really want to be asking them for huge jumps this far out either. So it is a case of, you get a fairly good feel, for how the horse is going, and how you think your chances are, down the back straight, where obviously for a lot of people watching racing, everybody looks like they're probably going quite well, but actually when you're on the horse, sometimes you're thinking, God, I'm not going as well as I would like to, or the other time you think, I'm going really well. You start to, horses come alive underneath you, and you think, I couldn't be happier.
And was there anyone, when you're in this kind of race, you're thinking, well, I'm going better than him here, so that's good? Into someone like Ruby Walsh, who obviously always did so well here. Are you trying to position yourself in terms of that, or does it all just depend on what's running in that race?
Yeah, I think it is a little bit. You're always looking around, and I think as you get older, you almost need to have a bit more time in races. When you're young, you're so enthusiastic, or you're probably not panicking, but you're excited and everything else. But as you get a little bit older, you start to try and evaluate what's going on around you and who's where, and you obviously know the main 2 or 3 horses you're concerned about in that race. So yeah, you can see what's going on, and it depends how fast or slow the race has gone early, because you're thinking, if depending on the horse you're riding, some horses a slow run race might suit you, or again an Anzum or a Flagship Barales, if they hacked around for the first half of the race, you'd be really worried, because you think, well, in a minute they're going to pick up and I'm not on the fastest horse. So you'd be looking around to try and work it all out. And as you were saying earlier as well, sometimes, quite often down the back straight here, if you're not going that well, you might pull out a little bit to try and get a bit of daylight, because that sometimes, almost it's just a little bit of change for the horse. And if so often you'll see someone pull out a little bit wider just to try and get their horse almost back on the bridle, we'd call it, just so they're travelling better, and a bit of a new lease of life for them. So again, it's not always a bad thing if you see a jockey pull out for a little bit wider. Sometimes they're just trying to get a clear view of what's ahead of them, and again, sometimes they're thinking, right, well, actually I need to be a bit more positive now, because the race hasn't gone as quick as we thought. So there's lots of different ways. I think as I'm watching racing now, I can see what jockeys are thinking.
Yeah, and just as we go past this part, obviously you've got the cross-country course in the middle there. You, well, in your career, had a good bit of success around there, and what is really a completely type of different race to be on this course.
It is, but actually it's obviously when they first introduced it, I think a lot of people were unsure of whether it should be at Cheltenham, because it was, obviously Cheltenham is the holy grail of jump racing, but actually it's really developed really well, and I think obviously France do an awful lot of it, Ireland do quite a lot as well, and the Irish definitely dominated the cross-country race for a long time. But the British horses have really adapted well to it, and the trainers to sort of find the right horses for the race, where now it's a real quality race, the cross-country race at Cheltenham at the festival. And obviously Balthazar King was without doubt the best horse I ever rode around there, and he was a very, very decent 3-mile chaser, and I can't even quite work out how Philip sort of thought, we'll see if he enjoys it, and he took to it like a duck to water. So he went out to France and won out there, which again, for a British horse to go to France and win was, I think there's not many do it, and actually it's quite a difficult thing to beat them on their own turf. And I think it's been a real addition. I think the public actually love it, because it's something different to see and come out and watch.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of the things that I always look forward to at the festival anyway. It's something different to watch. And what's it like riding that course? Because obviously when you're on here, you know where you're going. It's quite straightforward. Whereas on there, even from walking around it now, it's like working out where everything is.
Yeah, they have designed it quite well, so it sort of does, it points you in the right direction. But obviously when they first started, the hedges you can see in the middle obviously weren't really, well, they were like twigs in the ground.
Yeah.
So there wasn't quite the help that there is now. And yeah, I think 1 or 2 lads did get a bit lost the first couple of years, but it obviously, because it's the same course every year, actually it was amazing. Once you'd ridden in the race a few times, you even now I can remember the course in my head, because I've been around there so many times and I know all the jumps. Actually, it's quite interesting that on the cross-country course they use white rails for all the jumps, rather than the orange ones that we do on this course. And actually very soon they're going to start to change the colours on the race course to actually the white. So it's amazing how horses do jump those really well, so hopefully that's a positive for the future.
And just looking back at that fence there, obviously you've got, well, I presume it's like a water jump on this side of it that's not got anything at the minute, but the horses react differently to that, or have they gone that quick over it that you hardly really notice?
To be honest, you don't really notice the water, and when you see a horse jump, especially obviously a chase fence, they always land a long way at the back of it. So I think for the people watching, we know it's a water jump, and whether it's you're a jockey or a person in the stands, but actually the horses just sail over it, and it's a little bit smaller obviously than a normal chase fence. And actually for a jockey, if you get over the first and the back straight, and you are struggling a bit, you can be quite brave down to the water jump and try and get them to sort of pick up a bit and try and stretch and get going a bit better to keep yourself in the race. Obviously if you jump that slow again, and then you jump the next is the open ditch, and if you're slow over that one, then all of a sudden you're thinking, if I'm really under pressure here, this is I sort of you start to know your fate. And it is very hard to get back into, especially a championship race from this point.
Hi everybody, I hope you're enjoying this episode of Pool School with Richard Johnson. We've got plenty more to come, so make sure you like and subscribe to Tote Pool School on whichever platform you're listening or even watching this podcast on. We're available on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts and SoundCloud, and we've got plenty more lined up, including part 2 of this interview with Richard Johnson, which is ready to launch shortly. Cheers.